Nick Batterham, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Hey Greg, thanks for having me.
When we last spoke, it was during the pandemic. You just released Monument with Josh Meadows as the Bell Streets. How do you look back on that period now?
Um, there were a lot of things creatively that were good at that time. Certainly making that record with Josh was a really amazing experience, and I'm very proud of that record. I think it kind of got a little bit stifled by COVID happening, so we didn't get to do a live launch, and that was a shame not to give it the light that it deserved. Haven't ruled out still trying to do that now, whatever it is, 5 years later.
Mm, yeah. So you've just released a new classical album called First Snow. In general, what's the starting point for one of your classical pieces, and how does it differ from starting a pop or rock song?
Um, yeah, it's there's a great similarity to songwriting for me. I find I I'm quite focused on melody rather than just atmosphere. And writing these classical pieces, really the top line or the melody is written in a similar way to how I would write a song of starting to play at the piano and something in the progression implies a melody that I then follow, and then the melody starts to inform what the chords or the movement should be in the piece. So in that way, I think it's really comes from my songwriting chops, the way I've written most of these pieces. A few differences. Some of them I've, started with just a tone to try and write a melody over the top of, but I do, yeah, sadly seem to follow the melody where it takes me.
Yeah. The title First Snow, did that come first and then inform the music, or the other way around?
Um, One of the pieces was called First Snow, and towards the end of the process, that felt like the best title for the record and very much felt like the central track in tone and arrangement. I feel like it summarized the rest of the record. But the title for that track, I think, just came from the mood that I felt from it, that it was very sparse and felt cold, a little on the miserable side.
Yeah. When you're writing on the piano, are you hearing the strings and arrangements in your mind at the same time?
A little bit. I think, like with the songwriting, that dovetails in the same way words then kind of make you change your melody to fit what the words have got to say, but you might have started with the melody and then bent it. I find that happens with the melody and the chords, usually when I play piano, because I, have a pretty lame left hand that just plays single notes in my John Lennon style of, three fingers on the right hand. The arpeggiated sort of chords I play, there'll be something melodic, usually in that hand, and I follow that. And once there is a melody, that tends to steer it towards the rest of an arrangement. Usually, just like singing harmony, naturally hearing harmonies or wanting to sing harmony along to records that I like to listen to. I'm just drawn to that, I think. So as soon as there's a melody, I'm off, harmonizing and writing other parts to it. Doesn't mean they all should be there, but it's hard to ignore them when they think that way.
And did you use that piano behind you or something else for this album?
Um, oh, what, this thing? um, I do write on it. Downstairs in my studio, I've got the pianos I tend to record. But up here, it's a very old piano and it's pretty wonky sounding. but it's where I tend to sit and write, find seeing the photos of family and friends and life and things puts me in the right headspace that yeah, I have to be careful. Usually if I sit at that, I end up making something and having to follow it.
Yeah. So how long can you sit with a classical track, and is it the same with a pop rock song, or does the classical stuff take a little bit more time?
Um, yeah, good question to think about. As with songs, I think some are quicker than others, and often the good ones come in a big rush that there's a patch where all this stuff comes. But I think with the classical pieces, it's all a long time frame, the refinement. It takes time to just sit on it and come back to it, a year or more later and feel a change in perspective and perhaps seeing different parts of the music uh, better or more clearly. Certainly being able to draw things that are the strongest, lassoing them together and going, that's what's important. I think in these arrangements where there's mostly piano and 1 to 3 string instruments, it's the refinement of just getting rid of things that don't need to be there. Whereas in songs and popular music, you tend to lay on 30 instruments and, mush it all together and it feels like Phil Spector. But this is very much the chiseling away and seeing just how little it can end up still hanging together. And that refinement is enormously time consuming.
Yeah. Did you soundboard this music with anyone else along the way for comment, or was it totally from your mind?
Yeah, not really anyone for soundboarding. I think once I got to the point of recording the real instruments, all the writing, I mean, I'll use the real piano and play improvised things, but for writing string parts, I'm listening to MIDI instruments, digital software things. And at the point where that transforms into being real instruments, recording with real people, and the people that I, get to work with in that way, there's a transformation that happens then, but it doesn't affect what the notes are, but it's certainly there's a level of expression and how it all comes alive, as I would say, that can make me feel like I need to further refine things because invariably with the performance of a real person and their emotions and how they express that, you need less notes or less things going on. One very beautiful, expressive part is kind of enough.
Yeah.
So that's the refinement that happens over time, I think.
But what about the track order with music like this? Is it more important?
Um, yes, I think there's definitely more of a focus on the whole experience. Like you're not going to cherry pick pieces out of it to listen to just the one off. You tend to put a record on to listen to that, which I mean, a lot of people still do listen to contemporary music that way, but in the generation of playlists and randomized shuffle of people, it's a bit different to songs. So a lot of time and trying different permutations of the track listing to make it play with the sort of journey I'd want it to have. But I think any good album of the classics has got that about it too.
Yeah. You had great success scoring music for the Rhone exhibition. Uh, did you learn anything new from doing that?
That's really where all this has come from for me. That the first time I worked with Roan was I started working with him in 2018. The first show that I did with him was called Empire, and that opened in 2019. And I'd never really written purposefully for piano and strings. And that was the start of where I am now. That we've then done a couple more shows together. The main one being the Time installation at Flinders Street Station, and with that, there are pieces in that that are a piano quartet, very much like what this whole album is centered around. So I think that they have those two things go hand in hand. This wouldn't happen if I hadn't. This record wouldn't exist if I hadn't have steered in this direction in order to make the music that works for the Rhone installations. And it's woken up something in me of primary skill music, you know, playing the cello as a child and then rejecting it before I actually had a chance to get good at it. And the music theory that went along with that, you know, was jettisoned by the time I reached high school. So going so deeply into it again and coming from a very musical family that's a classical music sort of thing, it's renewed something that was always there. Um, but I'm interested to see where it takes me next.
Yeah. Is it easier to write to a visual form than it is just coming up with ideas out of your head?
Yes, in a way it is. I think it's good to have something to react to. I mean, you can react to something of yourself and of your own experience, and a lot of music I write is like that. It's a little bit why I like the visual triggers of friends and life experience things have just kind of can put you in that reflective space where melodic things come to me or moods just naturally come out in a musical way. Um, but yeah, I think that reflection on what's in front of you is the key to sort of how I make music anyway. I do love applying, you know, my emotional filter to other people's work, and that kind of role as a call it a sideman, whether it's playing guitar in the band or writing music for someone's film, there's really that application of giving my experience onto someone else's for it together to be something more. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that if you're working in the classical space for a long time, you feel the need to pick up and plug in an electric guitar and vice versa?
Yeah, yes, I think there's an immediacy for me that I can't get any other way because that electric guitar is my, you know, I can do that like breathing, the feeling of the flow state that you can get into when you're playing an instrument that you know well. I find with electric guitar and noise making that I just go to a different place that I don't feel the need to be turning it into something and go, well, that's a cool riff. I've got to do a voice memo and turn that into, you know, a great track for something. It's really just the pure state of being outside my own thoughts for long enough. Often certainly through the pandemic, I played electric guitar in my studio every day, you know, at least half an hour of just playing noise. And it's very, very soothing. I wouldn't say I need to do it as a reaction to all this classical music and my imposter syndrome of writing such music, but I still really love to make some noise.
So do you have a keen interest in pedals?
Yeah, I think in general, keen interest could be replaced with sickness. You know, the desire for and the accumulation of such things. Yes, I definitely have that sickness. And I think pedals are this price point that, unlike a guitar or an amp or, something bigger, it's just like the world has conspired to make something that's desirable enough to make you want to be shopping, and priced at such that oh, that doesn't completely break the bank. So yeah, it's difficult. I am trying to get rid of such things at the moment and go, well, I haven't used that for 5 years. I should just sell it. But yeah, pedals.
You're performing First Snow on November 10 at Tempo Rubato in Brunswick, which I believe is like a classical music club. Is that how you just describe it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful small space. It fits about 100 people, and they've fostered this amazing community that I go there quite a lot to see shows that of all kinds. I mean, it's classical, but there's you know that pulls in all sorts of directions, and the sorts of events they have there are broader than that. But it's just a lovely community. Like, it feels very positive and inclusive. It's a dream come true for me to have my music performed there. I would love to be performing myself, but sorry, I hope you're not hearing the dog snoring on my lap. Um, I'd love to be performing myself, but my piano chops just don't really stand up to playing alongside the caliber of players. The strings players are just, yeah, that's too daunting. I'll be nervously sitting in the front row, going, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening." But
What instrumentation will be involved?
so it's like the core of what the album is. It's piano and then cello, viola, and violin. So it's a piano quartet. Most of the pieces off the album have got that or some arrangement of that. And there'll also be, 5 or 6 pieces from my own soundtracks that can all, I've arranged for that as an ensemble.
Yeah. What are your hopes for an album like this when you release it?
Like any album, I think I'd love for people to hear it, and then be moved by it. Um, I think it'd be delusion to expect to conquer the world and it to be the soundtrack of everyone's life. But um, the process of doing it is sort of essential and a compulsion to me. And very rewarding. So all the outcomes that go beyond just having done it are a bonus, like having this concert, having my work performed by players of this caliber. Those things are all really, you know, pretty amazing. I'm very grateful that that's the way it is. But I'd love people to hear the record and for it to mean something to them. That would be the full circle of connection, for a connection to be made.
Yeah. Um, Anything else happening with the Bell Streets, Quadrazine, Earthmen, solo stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always working on solo stuff and have a few new numbers that, yeah, once I get out the other side of this project, I'm sure that will be the next thing that I'm working on. There's some more, commercial projects. The Earthmen just had played with Drop City doing 30-year, 25-year, 30-year anniversary shows in Sydney and Melbourne, and that was really fun to make noise with my best friends, all this shared experience of a lifetime. Getting to do that again is really great. And Cordrazine have got a new record, which we've been working on for several years, an EP that a few tracks have come out from, but we're actually doing the physical launch of that in December, a Northcote Social Club full band show, which is, yeah, really looking forward to that,
Yeah.
making some noise.
So First Snow is out now. The launch is on November 10. Nick, it's been great to catch up again.
Ah, thanks, Greg. Really great to see you. Thanks again for having me.